Hi, in the earlier video I gave an intro to the class, and now I'm going to give you an introduction to Animate. I will apologize right now. In other videos I may call it Flash just because I used to call it that for many years, probably close to 20. And then what happened was Adobe was trying to get Flash to do what it really shouldn't have been doing on the web, and it ruined the brand so badly that they renamed it Animate. And let me tell you, it's still an awesome program, even though it's really more for animation that's local or for videos. And for our assignments, most of them I'm gonna have you save them as MP4s, just so you know. And in case I forget to say it in a later assignment, that's how we really want to save it. So what I want to do first of all is there are several different presets that you can do. I can click on like HD right here, which is typically what I like to do. And just so you know, there are different kinds of settings: small screen, animator. These are settings up here, basic. I like basic. Where's classic is good. I'm going to go with classic because of the timeline being up here, and it's easier to see that way. Now, some changes that you can make is through the publish settings, right there. Or another change you can make is actually in the document. Right now, it's set for 30 frames a second, which is ideal for video. Obviously, the more frames per second, the larger the file size per second. So in other words, if you're going to do 10 seconds and you do 24 frames a second, it's going to be smaller than 30 frames a second for 10 seconds. Also, this is how you set up the content. In other words, how big is the stage and whether or not you want to do that. Another thing you can do is change the size of the screen. Right now, sorry. It's really hard to see the whole screen, so what I like to do is I like to go, fit in window. Also, there are times that you may lose your window, and that's what this is a really nice tool for. Now, I should point out something about Animate. This is the main stage. This is what you'll see when you finally publish it, whereas everything out here is on the side. This is what we call a keyframe. Right now I don't have any frames in there, so I'm going to come over here to 30 and I'm going to hit F5. What F5 does for you is it fills in all these frames. Now I still don't have anything here. Let's click on that. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to change my preferences, see if it looks a little bit better. Right here I can go edit preferences. I'm going to change the interface to a little bit lighter. Yeah, I can see it much better that way. So from now on, I will typically go here. They used to have an in-between the light and the dark that I thought was awesome, and I don't know why, for some reason, they just got rid of it. But now you can see the actual time frame. So each one of these is a frame, or I should say timeline. This is a keyframe. A keyframe is sitting there saying, please fill me up. So what I'm going to do is, even though I'm sitting on this frame right here, I'm going to draw a square. And what it does is it fills the keyframe immediately to the left. Now I can come over here and notice I click inside. Notice that I'm getting what I like to call polka dots, but it's telling me it's selected. And something I should point out about this selection is I'm going to do another F6, which will put in a keyframe. The other thing I could do is I could right click here and go insert keyframe. So F6 or right click and that'll insert a keyframe. But let me show you now what's going to happen. I'm going to click outside, I'm going to click inside, and I'm just going to take this object. So what I didn't tell you when I did it right here is I've actually got two objects. I've got the fill, which is one object, and then the stroke, which is another. So by coming down here, I just took the stroke out. Well, that's kind of silly, but you know, there are times that you might want to do that. But let me do a Control Z like that. And I don't want that keyframe anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select it and I'm going to right click and I'm going to go clear keyframe and we're back to this. Now, if I wanted to, I could go modify group and then I've got it together. Now, the other thing I could have done is create a symbol, and later on you're going to want to do a symbol. But since you may think, well, you did it all to this frame. No, it's still back to that keyframe. So now in the old days, when I first started playing with this, I used to go F6, put a keyframe in, and then try to figure out where it should be. Come down here and do another F6, like this. Now I'm going to add another layer, but before I do that, it's a good idea to name your layers. I like to call this G square, obviously for green square. And now I can add this, and I'm going to add another timeline. I'm going to right click, instead of a rectangle, I'm going to do the oval tool. I like to call it Ovaltine. I want to change the color because I don't want to do a stroke of, well, I like black. I don't want to do a fill of black. I'm going to do kind of an orange. So what I'm going to do is, once again, I'm way over here. I'm got to make sure I'm on that layer. I will grab it like that, and it fills that keyframe to the left. Now, something I'm going to do, because I'm afraid I'm going to accidentally make a mistake, so I'm going to come back here to my green square, and I'm going to lock it. And then if I really truly wanted to do something cool, I'd hide it. It's still there. I just got to click on it. I like to call it, it's the show hide, but I like to call it the evil eye because it makes things disappear. Another thing you can do is click right here, and I don't know if you can see this through the video, but it's a very thin outline. Well, I'll just click on it back and it fills it back up. Now notice how it's empty here, filled there. Empty. Oh, I can actually see that one a little bit better. Fill there. Now what's truly amazing is I am going to, let's click on frame 20. I'm going to do another F6. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my move tool and I'm going to move everything right over there. Now this is where the true power of Animate comes in. I am going to click in between this point and this point. It's got to be in between. Got to make sure I'm on that one. So I click right in here and I'm going to create a classic tween. And remember I told you about symbols? Well, that's what I need to do. Symbol there. And boom. So in other words, I don't have to guess where it should be by putting in keyframes, which the first time I used this program, I was doing it the hard way. And then when I figured out about tweening, I almost died and went to heaven because I spent a lot of time doing that. Well, now what I want to do is I'm going to change the layer order, but before I do that, I'm going to go O circle, orange circle. And the reason I'm doing that is I want to show you that layer order counts. So notice that the orange circle goes in front. Well, now I'm going to click and drag that layer below and watch what happens. Goes behind. I'm clicking right here on the slider to get it to move. But if I don't want to use the slider, I can just hit the playhead and stop. Playhead and stop. Go all the way back one. Whee, play. Now what I want to do is I'm going to go File, Save. And you always want to save the FLA, so I'm going to call it Circle SQ. I could put a dash in there or something like that, but I just want to have something like that. There we go. Now I'm going to go File, Publish Settings, and then I can choose the kind of setting I want to do. Well, since I chose ActionScript 3.0 by default, it's going to create an SWF, which is Shockwave Flash, which sadly is no longer allowed on web pages, but you can do it on any computer, just not on the web page itself. And then it creates an HTML wrapper. So what I can do is I can click on Publish and OK. But another thing I might want to do, because it's going to be so much more useful, is I can go File, Export, Export Video Media. Now what I'm doing is I got a big stage, so it's going to render the whole thing. It's going to render the entire movie. If I wanted to, I could tell it from scenes and cut part of this out. And let's see. Hit export. Well, what the media encoder does is it takes it from an MOV into an MP4, but I could swore it was going to do that automatically. I'll have to check that, but I don't think that's the issue. So it saved it out as an MP4. I'm going to close it. Click on OK. And now let's just check, see what we got. There's my Animate. If I want to see what it looks like on HTML, it's going to say, oh, I need an HTML player. Not going to let me do it. Why would they even make that an option is beyond me. If I double click on the SWF, the Shockwave Media Player, the one bad thing about any SWF that you create, it automatically loops no matter what. You can't tell it in SWF, but you can tell it with like some coding not to do that. But here's my MP4. There we go. So now I've got an MP4 and I got my FLA. So I want to turn in my homework. What I do is I come back over here. I have and please don't turn in something like this for a flash picture. I will be very disappointed, but I'm just doing this for an example. And let's hit Start Assignment. And then I'm going to upload. I'm just doing this so you understand what I'm looking for, which is I'm looking for, where is it? My FLA. You know, I haven't tried this before. Let's see if it will work. Hold on my control key. It may not. Nope, not going to let me. So I'm going to do the MP4 first. I'm going to add another file. File upload. Choose my file. Send my FLA up. And then submit my assignment. Whee! I don't know why that tickles me so much. Flash picture assignment. Now I got to show you something that I really like about Animate is they have some sample files. And what you can do is I like to reverse engineer things. I guess that's the engineer in me. Well, one of them is a bike ride. So we have this, I swear this is the one I did. Okay, let's go. I did not create this, just so you know. But Animate uses this as a file to explain concepts. So I really recommend that you do that. And once again, I want to export. Oh, you know what? We could do an animated GIF too. Let's try that and see what it looks like. It's going to be huge. Let's see a preview. Oh, okay, it's going to work. Oop, where'd it go? Where'd it go? Animated GIFs are really kind of cool, so I'm going to save that. Do I want it to loop? Nope. I want it to run once and hit save. You know, I would allow an animated GIF too. So if you really want to do that instead of an MP4, go for it. Just remind me that I told you that. There we go. File. Let me try something else. Export. Don't want to do image. I'm just going to do straight movie. Nope, not going to do it what I want. But these are the different file formats. Nope, don't want to do that. File, export, video media. Entire movie, H24. I guess I did it and I just wasn't paying enough attention. Yep, I must have. So what it does, it's kind of one of those weird things. I don't understand why they still do it, but Animate saves it as an MOV, which is an older format. And unfortunately, it's a proprietary format that was, I believe, Apple owns the patent to that now. So what they want to do is they want to have an open source format, which is an MP4. And we're done with that. And click on OK. Oop. Oh God, I'm looking right at it. And just kind of curiosity, the MP4 is 1.3. It's just not too bad. The nice thing about the animated GIF is you can use that on a web page very easily. But the same way with an MP4, you just got to add a little bit more code. So definitely something worth playing with.